Welcome, everybody, to our first official episode of Essentials Podcast. I am Whitney Flockhart, joined by my husband,
Stevie Flockhart.
And we are so excited that you are listening today.
Absolutely. Hey, welcome, guys. Hope you got to check out our intro podcast. I guess that would have been the one right before this. Just kind of told our story, why we're doing this, how it could help you. We've just had so many people speak into our lives. So many people speak truth to us. And now we just want to kind of, I guess, recycle, what people have poured into us and to help you. And so today's topic or theme is really a question that we've worked through because you're talking about the essentials of life.
Right.
Marriage, relationships, parenting, health, emotional health, whatever it is, conflict is always going to be present.
Absolutely.
Tension is always going to be present. We often say around here, at 901 Church, that growth and comfort cannot coexist. And
right.
So anytime you want to grow, anytime you want to be better, anytime that you want to focus on, plug here, the essentials of life and grow through those, conflict is going to happen. Tension is going to happen. And so today, is conflict avoidable in life, in relationships? And is conflict avoidable? What do you think? Is conflict avoidable?
I think some conflict is avoidable, but I think some conflict is not avoidable.
Absolutely.
And some conflict needs to be addressed. So that's what we're diving in today. Our biggest thing would be that no, conflict is not altogether avoidable.
Sure.
But we want to help you decide what conflict needs to be addressed and then what conflict you can let go.
Yeah, because some conflict doesn't need to be avoided. I mean,
Right.
It needs to be hit head on, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But
Right.
there are some things like, you need to deal with what you need to deal with.
Right.
There are things that need to be addressed, that need to be confronted, that need to be dealt with. But why would you deal with things that you don't need to deal with?
There are so many things I think that we and people don't realize that don't even need to be issues at all.
Thing, or no things at all.
Right.
Yes. So you got, and that's another thing that I think that, if you're talking to people, you're trying to help people, you almost hear their story. You hear what they're going through. You hear the arguments that a couple's having. You hear the tension that you're having with your kid or your teenager or your coworker. And once you hear it, and I'm a believer in like saying it out loud and repeating what happened, because oftentimes you just think it's really silly what you argued about or really kind of a very small thing that you're having conflict about. When you make small things big things, and consistently make small things big things, when big things come, it just kind of gets wrapped
Lost
into
in translation.
all the other things, So
you can't
deal
even
with
deal
big
with
things,
it.
no doubt about it. And
When
so,
you make small things big things, the big things don't get dealt with because you're too busy dealing with crap that just doesn't matter.
Yep. So when you're fighting about who should change the diaper, when you're fighting about the 8 minutes that he was late walking in the door,
Right.
or you see what I'm saying? Like, it's just those small things that you continue to focus on, and it doesn't give you the time, the energy, or even the will to want to deal with the things that should be addressed. But there's one primary reason that we believe, that's at the root of 99% of all of our conflict. And here it is: unmet expectations. This
So
is
big.
true whether you're married, whether you're single, whether you're dealing with kids, whether you're dealing with coworker, your job, or your employees. Unmet expectations will be the primary root. It'll be the root of 99% of all your conflict.
Which I actually have a perfect example of that.
The birthday story.
If we can just jump into that real
Please,
quick.
tell it.
So a perfect example.
And this is when we first met, so we have, so we're 14 years in now. If you didn't hear the intro, we do not have it figured out, but we've grown. But share the story. We get married in August, and then September, this happened. So 1 month later.
Yeah, 1 month later, we're 1 month into wedded bliss, and I'm just kidding. It was not wedded bliss at all. It was pretty tumultuous. But anyway.
I thought it was awesome.
So I forget how old I was turning, I guess 24. And so we're 1 month into being married. you will get to know he and I during this podcast if you don't already know us, but I'm very much a more of an introvert than Stevie is. I like, my alone time. I like intimate conversation as opposed to like mass communication. So anyway, that's
I just want to party.
And he just wants to party.
Yeah.
Rock on. So I'm thinking,
nice.
hand motion.
Yeah.
I'm thinking for my 24th birthday with my new husband, he's going to take me out somewhere nice, maybe just the two of us. We're going to have a nice, quiet, romantic dinner. He might get me a nice piece of jewelry that he'll I know, this is so weird.
I am 25 years old and been married a month.
Bro, I said unmet expectation.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we're talking about. Okay, so I'm expecting this. And so we get in the car to go out on our quote date that I'm just so excited for. I'm dressed cute, took time with my hair and makeup, just feeling myself. We're going to, have a lot of fun. And he says, hey, I got to stop by my parents' house real quick. And I'm like, all right, it's my birthday, but we can do that. So we pull up to his, are you trying to interrupt me?
No,
are you trying to add something?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm just excited about the
So
story.
we pull up into his parents' driveway.
My parents are out of town.
And
big house, nice house, perfect for a
party,
but yeah.
Hey, let's run inside real quick. My brothers and sisters want to say happy birthday to you. And I'm like, hey, I'm like really starving. Can we just like go get what you need to get from there and we can just be on our way? He's like, no, I really think they want to say happy birthday to you. Just come on in. Don't be a bore. Let's go. So I get out reluctantly and we get up to the front porch. I open the front door and there's about 500 people standing in his parents' house.
All in just a sync.
Most of which I do not know, by the way, are like, happy birthday, Whitney. The horns, confetti, all things crazy.
And I want to act because you didn't know a lot of them, but for the listeners.
I'm quality over quantity.
Oh, and I'm
quantity over quality.
Well, I want qualified quantity. That's what I want, And so these are people who just want to be there for Whitney's party. These are people who got invited to Whitney Flockhart's surprise birthday party. Does she know them? No. But I wanted everybody in town to be there. And so I just know, guys, I know she's going to be excited. I know she's going to be stunned. I know she's going to thank me. She's going to, be so grateful. She's going to make love to me late. I mean, it's going to be the greatest birthday of my life, you know? And
exactly.
So, but it's her birthday, 100%. And she walks in and she was so mad.
I was fighting back tears, y'all. Like, seriously.
I'm like, what's wrong with you?
I saw my parents and my very best friend from high school. I saw those three people in the corner.
The whole time.
And I found them and I sat with them the entire time. I mean, I was just so livid. Like, how does my husband not know me? How does he not? Or if he does, he doesn't
we've been
care.
Married for 3 weeks. That's
I know, but you get. Okay.
You know what? I'm out of here. I thought the party was great. So, no, I was...
Still fight.
I was upset. So watch this guy. I'm so upset because of unmet expectations. I know she's going to love it. I know she's going to be so surprised. I know I'm going to get thanked for it. I know she's going to tell me later in tears, that was the greatest birthday that I've ever had. And she told me later in tears, that was the worst birthday I've ever had.
So mad.
And so then we start having conflict on the way home. I don't know if we were getting upset with each other at the party. So I'm telling you, go hang with people, go say thank you for coming. You're like, I don't know these people. And I'm like, exactly. What an awesome moment. Strangers came to your party. And so we're on the way home. We're fighting. We're upset with each other. And
it all boiled down to unmet expectations. He expected me to feel a certain way about this open invitation party he created. And I expected something totally different than what he gave me. And that ended up in serious conflict.
Yeah. So unmet expectations. I thought you were going to say that to me. I thought you were going to do that to me. I thought you were going to show me respect. I assumed you'd feel a certain way. Man, I assumed, I thought. Those are unmet expectations. And so why do we have conflict? Unmet expectations. But we have found that there are 2 areas that we've addressed that have minimized our conflict significantly over the year. Now, there are hundreds and there's dozens, or there's dozens and there's hundreds, of areas and things to improve. What we have found is two, I almost want to say primary, or the two main areas we have
definitely
worked on that have minimized our conflict. And here they are: personalities and pride.
Yes.
Personalities and pride.
And
go ahead.
Personalities is a huge one. You'd be hard pressed to find two people more opposite than Stevie Flockhart and Whitney Flockhart.
Yep.
We have the most polar opposite personalities, and I feel like that's probably the majority of married couples. I'm going out on a limb saying that, but I feel like different opposite people find each other.
Sure.
You know what they say.
And when you're dating, opposites attract.
Right.
But when you're married, opposites attack,
Right.
And, that sounded so profound. No, it was cheesy, but it's true.
Right, but here's why I was thinking about that. The reason why opposites attract when you're dating is because that new adventurous outlook on life seems so sexy.
Yeah.
But then you can go back to your own room and do things the way you want to do them. But when you're married, you're kind of stuck with that new adventurous take on life, and it kind of becomes not so new and exciting and adventurous.
Yeah, when you're married, you can't walk away from that personality.
Right.
You can't, we're not talking about breaks, and that kind of thing, but you can't just go home to your place,
Right.
You can't just take the weekend. I mean, you see this person, you've got to do life with this person every single day.
That becomes your new normal, and that doesn't always go so well.
Yeah, so what we've seen with personalities is, and this is what we tell everybody, so again, please don't hear this, that you just have different personalities and that's the only thing wrong with your conflict. That's not what we're saying. But I would want to identify that sometimes someone's right and someone's wrong, and you can't get past that. Sometimes during conflict, there's a right answer, there's a wrong answer.
Right.
Someone did something wrong, someone was guilty,
Right.
someone, sure. But the majority of the time,
It's
or
true.
a lot of the time, I just see this differently than you see this,
And I wish more people, and maybe, after hearing this might help some of you, but if you can feel a conflict arising, I would encourage you to take a step back just for a second and be like, is there a right and wrong here? Or is this just my preference versus your preference?
Did they do it wrong, or did they just not do it my way?
Right. That's so good.
Did they do it wrong, or is it different than how I would have done it, or how my mom would have done it, or my dad would have done it, or how I was raised? And so that's something I think that every single married person, single person, whatever, and a lot of what we're going to talk about is going to be for married people, but I would hope a single person would want to be married. I'd hope someone, or you're engaged, whatever it is. And so when you're dealing with conflict, but even think about this at work. Mm-hmm. Think about this with your kids. You're going to experience this with your kids if you don't have kids yet. Like, your kids have different personalities. Your kids are wired differently. And that's a great thing.
Yeah.
That's an amazing thing. Our son Judah, who's a lot like me, and they all have different, personalities towards us and wiring. And my little eye of the pearl is me just 100%. Replicated, yes. But with him, he's so just adventurous in his ways, so he would find himself, we could look at it like he's just getting into stuff, or he's making a mess again. It's like, hold on a second. Is he wrong? Or is he just adventurous?
Just different.
Yeah. Is he defiant, or is he passionate about exploring, and just seeing it? And so when you start channeling that and you start seeing it in that way, it really does change your perspective, which we're going to talk a whole lot.
And it helps you really appreciate your spouse. I mean, if you can just take it for what it actually is, like their personality. Because why do people get married in the first place? We're putting Jesus on display. That's what that is.
Yep.
Me by myself is not as good as me and Stevie together.
Yeah. And so that would be something that, so you're going through conflict, you're dealing with something, an experience has happened, situations taking place, you're involved in something. How would you handle it? Mm-hmm. Okay, it might be different than the other person's it doesn't mean they're wrong.
That's
it doesn't mean that they should be, shunned, whatever. And so, it's just personalities are a huge thing. Mm-hmm. The second one is pride.
Oh man.
And we have found this out. I've come so far in this, so God, please still help me. But I like to have the last word. I like to give the last sentence. I like to say it and then, order in the court.
I don't know if that's a guy thing or if it's just like a personality thing.
Sure.
I personally don't struggle with having the last word. So learning to shut up and be quiet is not necessarily my struggle, but my struggle would be I shut down.
Sure.
And so that's a level.
Some people can't shut up. Some people shut down.
That's right.
Know? Ooh,
and that's a level of pride. Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
Shut up or shut down.
But, and so if I may, because we just want to be real around
Let's
here.
Go.
If I've got to be the last word, I think you could maybe say more words at the end, like, sorry, my bad, my fault. Is that true?
That's definitely one of my biggest things that God's still working through me.
Sure.
And maybe at episode 100, I'll be able to say, hey guys, guess what? I say sorry first now.
Currently, and maybe I have to say sorry first because I'm
guilty
did something that I needed to say sorry for, and not all the time, but, so personalities and pride, every single one of us, that is how you can avoid conflict. That's how you can understand, wait, this is not, and again, a cliche sometimes bother me, but is this a hill that I'm worth dying on? Right. Now, because I kind of want to transition. So conflict can be avoided, but not all. So can conflict be avoided? Some of it can, some of it should be, but some of it should not be. And so there are things that you absolutely need to address. And so how to avoid unnecessary conflict. We just talked about it. Personalities, pride, say you're sorry, learn to shut up. Realize these are unmet expectations and maybe my own insecurities, maybe my own little fears, my own little adult child is coming out.
I want to add something real quick before you transition. Going back to the unmet expectations, I would encourage anybody who is engaged, about to be married, thinking about getting married, talk about these expectations before you get married because I promise you, if you don't, it will become conflict when you get married. Talk about things like, are we both going to work? Do you expect me to have dinner on the table every night? Like those kind of things that maybe your premarital counselor is not going over with you, but just some practical life stuff.
Sure. What is and life changes, but what does a typical week look like, And so, and I know we don't have all the time in the world, but, we're about to move into when you should have conflict and when it's necessary to talk. But these things don't give people a pass either. You know what I mean? Right. I mean, you can't just treat somebody like crap and like say, "Oh, sorry, that's my personality."
Absolutely
or you
not.
shut down and you never talk. It's like, "Oh, I'm an introvert. I don't talk." Like, you can't use this as an excuse. We're trying to give you guys tools, not excuses. And so that's when conflict can be avoided. That's when you need to address what needs to be addressed, but die on the hills that need to be died on. But when is conflict necessary? We've not actually gone through. When would you say conflict is necessary?
Conflict is very necessary. I would say when sin, first of all, is involved.
No doubt.
Luke 17:3, if a person sins, rebuke them, like correct them. So if sin is involved, you've got to address it.
Yeah. What would sin look like if conflict?
Like if lying, stealing,
cheating, God forbid.
Yeah, cheating.
Yep. So Hebrews 11 talks about, you're talking about the great cloud of witnesses, it follows going through, keeping your eyes on Jesus. The whole chapter is talking about pursuing him, loving, but it also talks about when in Hebrews 12 that it says, let us throw off everything that entangles us and the sin.
Right.
And so I think a lot of people miss that sometimes. So there's sin, no doubt about it. So, you're talking about when should conflict be necessary? What sin is absolutely one of those. Someone did something that did not please God.
Is wrong.
They broke a covenant. They lied. They told half truths. They didn't honor, which is a big thing we'll talk.
Right.
They didn't honor the commitment. They're not honoring their husband or their wife. You could say, what does that mean? Well, again, that's another podcast in itself.
That's a whole other podcast
that we will talk about. But so, sir, man, when you're supposed to be the husband that you're supposed to be the father that you're supposed to be, but you're playing cards on Monday night, you're playing ball with your boys on Tuesday night, you've got work until 7 p.m. and you're missing dinner on Wednesday night, and you take every opportunity on the weekend.
You go out every Friday night with your girls. Leaving your husband and kids at home or whatever. It's just your priorities mixed up,
and you're spending the weekends, hunting or golf or whatever you got to do. I'm not saying don't do hobbies, but when you can evaluate your schedule or your life and you say, hold on, I'm not living up to the commitment that I made with this
Right.
person. No greater love than to lay down your life for your friend, your best friend, your person, whatever it means. And so sometimes laying down your life means putting on hold or putting aside what you would desire
Right.
or what you'd rather do. And again, man, I hope we're not talking, well, no, I'm not going to go there, but if you're married and you have kids and the majority of your time or your nights are spent away from your home, or you're looking for opportunities to leave your home.
Right.
Well, I think that's a Hebrews 12. Okay, throw off the sin, but also throw off everything else
Right.
that entangles you.
Is
so
it
there
wrong?
are some things,
Maybe not, but is it best?
Right.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So there's some things that you're doing that are sinful, but there's also things that you're doing that just aren't best. And so
Yeah.
you've got when sin is involved. So when is conflict necessary? When sin is involved, and
Yeah.
you just hit on that. And I would
Right.
also say when peace is not present. Well,
that's good.
And that goes different for everybody.
Right.
Something that would cause peace to not be present in our home might be something that is different than would not cause peace in someone else's home.
Right.
But that kind of goes back to if expectations, reality. So, sir, that's listening, my brother, my dude, if you're saying, well, my wife's just got this expectation that I should be home, and y'all just talked about unmet expectations, well, I go golfing and I go do this and I hang with the boys and I look for opportunities to be at the office when I'm there, and every weekend I can get away. It's like, well, hold on, bro. That's an expectation that just should be met.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
not an unmet expectation.
Right.
Like, you are causing conflict on your home, and it's because you're the one doing things. Your decision,
Right,
your
right.
lack of your lack
Right.
of priorities is causing the disgruntled. Peace cannot be present in your
Right,
home.
right. Or ladies, if you're there, and wives, I can speak for them all when they say that we want to be loved and cherished, and if you're not feeling those things, then there's not peace there. So that needs to be addressed. Have those conversations. Have those hard conversations.
Yep, it's good. So, is conflict avoidable? Yes.
And no.
Nice. That was very good. And so, yes and no, it can be.
Right.
And so the little things, do not let them be
Let
big
go
things.
of the little
Yep.
things.
And so unintentional, not things that, uncharacteristic of the person.
Sure.
Forgive and forget. Yeah, I mean, I'm literally like forgive and forget. But
Right.
when conflict needs to be necessary, is sin involved? Is peace not present? Are expectations that should be being met
Right.
not being met? Address them head on. You just said Luke 17, if a person sins, rebuke it. The sin that needs to be rebuked, corrected, that's what that means. Or the other stuff that so easily entangles us.
That's right.
I'll say it like this sometimes, and we'll wrap it up. There's some things that you're doing that are sin, and then there's just some things that you're doing that are just stupid, that just aren't wise, that
That's
aren't,
good.
stupid. That's not a nice word. No, it's not a nice word, but your behavior is not very nice. And
Very
so
good.
you need to correct it. You need to change it. And again, I do believe that's like an essential part of
Absolutely.
being better and being greater. A little pun there, podcast. And so it just really, really is. And so, guys, I hope this helped. Talk to the person that you're married with, that you work with, that you parent, that your mom, whoever it is. Are there unmet expectations? Are personalities involved? Is pride involved? Should you say you're sorry for things that you need to say you're sorry for? And or are there some things that need to be addressed? Are you
Right.
sweeping things under the table that need to be confronted, that need to be dealt with? You and only you can truly decide that and do something about it. But I hope this stuff helped you guys. Thank you for stopping in, and
This
we will
was
see
great.
you. Yep, absolutely. Next time on Essentials with Stevie and Whitney Flockhart.
Thanks for joining us.
See you guys.